In this lesson, I'm going to go over working with an existing project. So you can see that I have a folder called Novel and 4 files inside, each representing a chapter. Let's go into that folder in the terminal. So we're inside the folder now, and we can see that if we type git status, it tells us that this project is not a repository. We're not tracking any of the changes to these files at the moment. So here we have our working directory with our 4 files. And what we want to do is we want to initialize a repository so we can track all the changes to these files. So I go into the Finder and I press Command-Shift-Dot to show any hidden files. And then I git init, and here we have our repository. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to start tracking all the files in this project folder. So we want to make an initial commit with all the files. We can use the git add command, and we can actually pass in a directory to this command. And if you recall from a previous lesson, a single dot represents our current directory. So we're going to pass in the single dot to the git add command. We can first do git status, which will tell us that none of these files are being tracked. And then we can git add dot, which adds all these files to the staging area. So now if we write git status, we can see that all these files are in our staging area and they're ready to be committed. Now let's just go and make our commit. We type git commit -m, pass in our message. Mine's just initial commit. And we can see it gives us our commit hash. And if we type git status again, we can see that our working tree is clean. So there we go, there's our commit. But now let's assume that we want to make some changes to our 3rd and our 4th chapters. So we go to those files and we make some changes. And we save those changes on our computer. So now we have a new version, an updated version of these files. And now the working directory and the staging area, the files in each of them are different. And the git status command will tell us this. So we go into the terminal, we type in git status, and we can see that it warns us about this different in the version of the file in our working directory than in our staging area. So let's add these updated files to the staging area. We go in, we write git add dot, and now if we type git status, it tells us that it has updated files that it's ready to commit. So there we go. But what if we now decided that we actually don't want to add all the changes that we made to chapter 4, and we actually want to unstage that file and take it out of the staging area? We can do this using the git reset command, typing head -- and then the name of the file. So let's see that. We go in the terminal, we type in git status. We can see that we have these updated files, but now we decide to take chapter4.txt out of the staging area. And there, we've unstaged that file. Now we type git status, and we can see that in our next commit, we'd only include the updated version of the chapter 3 file. So there we go. So this goes to show that we can move things in and out of our staging area. And that's why in a previous lesson, I'd referred to it as a rough draft space, because you can really decide what you want to include in the next commit or the next version of your project. So now, if we're happy with all the files we've added to our staging area, then we're ready to commit. So let's do our commit. Git commit -m, pass in the message. Here I'm just going to say updates to chapter 3. It gives us our commit hash, and we can see our commit in our commit history. So now just to overview, in this lesson we covered tracking an existing project and removing files from the staging area. And we also showed one use of the git reset command. That was it for this lesson. See you at the next one.